Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Hangout on Air on supporting learners with Google for Education accessibility tools. My name is Laura Allen, and I'm a program manager for accessibility across the Chrome and Chrome OS teams at Google.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lisa Berghoff, and I'm the Director of Instructional Technology at Highland Park High School in Highland Park, Illinois, which is just outside of Chicago. I'm also a special educator.
Hello, my name is Roger Benz. Like Laura, I'm a program manager, but in my case, I do it for G Suite accessibility.
Great. So we've got a lot to cover today. So we're going to start off by talking about Chromebook accessibility features, and then dive into G Suite accessibility features, then spend some time on exploring additional extensions, then leveraging G Suite apps for diverse learners. Then we'll cover some resources on where to learn more, and of course, take questions. So to begin, our accessibility team on Chrome and Chrome OS works really hard on improving the accessibility of our tools. And we are building lots and lots of different types of accessibility features into every Chromebook that are available right out of the box. So in this first section, I'd love to dive into all the different types of features that are on every Chromebook. So this first category is about features to help make things easier to see on the Chromebook. So to begin, you can increase the size of browser content simply by pressing Control+. And to decrease, you can press Control-. And as you adjust the browser content size, of course, only the content within the browser itself will get larger. But if you want to make everything on the screen bigger, you can add Shift into the mix. So if you press Control and Shift and plus, then essentially everything on the screen will get larger, including the tabs, including the icons on the lower shelf and the system menu. Similarly, to decrease the size of everything on the screen, you can press Control-Shift-, or press Control-Shift-0 to reset back to default. But for many users, this might just not be quite large enough. So we offer two different forms of magnification that are within Chromebook accessibility settings. So this first one is the full screen magnifier. And you can turn this on, again, either through accessibility settings in the Chromebook, or through pressing Control-Search-M as in magnifier, which is the keyboard shortcut to toggle it on or off. And when this magnifier is on, the entire screen zooms in, and you can use the mouse cursor to pan around and control what is being displayed. Or if you're on a touchscreen Chromebook, you can use 2 fingers to pan around the screen. You can also increase or decrease the actual zoom level all the way up to 20x zoom. And there are different ways to do this. One way is through accessibility settings, through choosing the level of your choice in a dropdown, or you can hold Control and Alt and scroll 2 fingers up or down on the touchpad. We also have a different version of the magnifier that's also available in accessibility settings, and this is called the docked magnifier. And I'm just going to play a very simple video that demonstrates how this works. And essentially, the way that the docked magnifier works is that it will magnify the top 1/3 of the screen, and then it takes the rest of the interface and resizes it to fit in the bottom 2/3 of the screen. So then from there, you use your mouse cursor to pan around that bottom section and control whatever's being zoomed in and magnified on the top of the screen. And as you type, the text stays centered for better visibility. And as far as adjustments of the zoom level, the same methods apply as in the full screen magnifier. So you can either adjust in settings, or you can hold down Control and Alt and scroll 2 fingers on the touchpad. Or my personal favorite method here is to actually hold Control and Alt and press the brightness up key. You just have a little bit more precise control there as you're finding the right level of zoom that works best for you. We also have an adjustable mouse cursor, and this is available through accessibility settings. And when it's turned on, a sliding scale appears, and you can choose the size of the cursor that works best. And there's a high contrast mode available as well. So to turn on high contrast mode, it's either through accessibility settings or through pressing the keyboard shortcut Control-Search-H as in high contrast. And this will just invert the colors, which is, can be very helpful for anyone who just prefers to have that inverse, particularly if you're spending a lot of time on light pages with dark text and you want to invert that to avoid eye strain. We also have a feature called highlights, and this helps to draw better visibility for some of the key items on the screen. So you can turn this on either for drawing a focus ring around the mouse cursor, the text caret, or the keyboard focused item if you're pressing tab to get around the page. And again, what this does is it will draw a colorful focus ring around those given items. And as you are using that item, so for example, if I have this on my mouse cursor and I move the mouse cursor, then that focus ring will appear. And then as soon as I stop, it will fade into the distance as to not add additional clutter to the screen. Great. Next, I'd like to cover a few features for improved motor interaction. So first we have our on-screen keyboard, and this is available again through accessibility settings. And this can be very helpful for anybody for whom it's difficult or not possible to type on the physical keyboard. So you can use this either with the touchpad or a mouse or connected joystick device, or even if you're using head control. So basically when it's turned on, as soon as you put your text caret into any sort of edit field, this will appear in the lower portion of the screen, and then you can type using any method that you choose. There's also a handwriting method here that's available, and there is a microphone icon if you choose to use dictation as part of your interaction with the on-screen keyboard. There are also a number of different sorts of settings that you can customize for physical keyboard and touchpad. So on the touchpad side, we have tap to click, which is basically removes the amount of pressure that you have to push on the touchpad or mouse to actually click down. So you can just simply lightly tap. And tap dragging goes hand in hand with tap to click. And this would be used, for example, if you wanted to rearrange your tabs or the icons on your lower shelf. So all you really have to do there is very lightly double tap and drag instead of putting a little bit more force on the touchpad or mouse. We also have a feature called automatic clicks. And this feature will make it possible to hover over content and then have the Chromebook click for you. So you don't, whoops, go back just a couple. Sorry about that. So when automatic clicks is on, you basically hover, you choose the amount of time that you want to wait so that you can actually make it very quick, or you can have it wait a few seconds before it clicks. So a little circle will appear and essentially zoom in on the given item and then click for you without having to put any sort of pressure on the touchpad or mouse. I just wanted to mention that there's a lot of improvements coming to this feature in the next few Chrome milestones. So definitely stay tuned. We're adding a lot new functionality and a new interface. So we're excited about that coming soon. On the physical keyboard side, we also have sticky keys, which can be very helpful if it's not possible to hold multiple keys down at once to execute a keyboard shortcut or a keyboard command. So even for something like, for example, capitalizing a letter, typically hold down the Shift key and then press the letter. So with sticky keys on, you can press Shift first, lift your finger, and then press the given letter. You can also adjust the keyboard repeat rate as well as the delay before repeating. So if you're typing and perhaps holding down a key and it just is typing in repetition, that's definitely something that you can adjust. We also have a standalone feature for dictation into any text field. So I know earlier I had mentioned that there's a microphone icon that is present in the on-screen keyboard, which of course you can use at any time if you are using the on-screen keyboard. But we did build a standalone feature for dictation. So when this is on, this little microphone icon will appear in the lower right portion of the screen. And you can either, once you're in a text field, you can either click or tap that icon, or you can press the keyboard command Search +D, and then you can begin dictating. Great. We also have a feature called mono audio that can help to make content easier to hear. So with this feature, it will basically take the audio coming from the Chromebook and help to streamline it and play the same audio out of both ears or both earbuds. So essentially, if you have limited hearing in one ear over another, this way you won't miss out on context if it's being played in stereo sound. So it'll just help to streamline that same audio through both ears. All right, next up, I'd love to cover a bit about feedback that are available on the Chromebook as of now. And the first one is the ChromeVox screen reader. And you can turn the screen reader on at any time, either through settings or through pressing the keyboard command Control-Alt-Z. And the screen reader is really meant for anyone with more significant vision loss who really does need full screen reading support. And there's been a lot of different types of improvements that have been added to the ChromeVox screen reader over the last couple of years. We actually relaunched the screen reader back in February of 2017. We launched a completely new rewritten version from the ground up. And this new version, we've just kind of been continuing to add updates to. And in general, it just provides a faster and more consistent experience based on the way that the screen reader is actually interacting with the given page or app. We've also greatly simplified the keyboard shortcuts so that you don't have to hold down quite as many keys now to execute a jump command or things like that. We've also added a new ChromeVox panel, which is shown in the screenshot at the very top of the screen. There's a black bar with white text. So this can be particularly helpful for any teachers who are working with students who are perhaps using headphones with the screen reader. So the teacher wouldn't be listening to what the student is hearing, but they can just quickly glance at whatever is the output of the speech. We also launched this new system of ChromeVox menus. So this can be really helpful for anyone who's new to ChromeVox or new to screen reading as a whole. But basically at any time you can press the keyboard command search plus period, and then this menu portal will pop up. And this will allow you to see all the different types of jump commands for faster navigation around the screen. Also things like your list of all your open tabs on the Chromebook, which you can quickly find the one that you're looking for and press enter to navigate to it. Also things like different ChromeVox options, so getting back to the ChromeVox tutorial or opening up the keyboard learn mode, which can be a very helpful tool if you're new to the Chromebook and new to the Chromebook keyboard. And this mode will allow you to just kind of type keys and hear whatever those keys are. Or even if you press a keyboard command, you can actually hear what that keyboard command is for without typing anything. There are lots of other lists here as well, again, for faster navigation. But we created this menu panel just because we wanted to make it kind of a one-stop shop for ChromeVox. So if you are newer and you just don't yet know a lot of the different commands, as long as you remember search plus period, that will take you into this portal. We also have a new set of navigational sounds that we call earcons, kind of like the audio equivalent of an icon, which play underneath the spoken feedback. So as you're navigating through buttons or links, or there's an earcon for things like the page load time, we have a new set of sounds that are developed. And we also have enhanced Braille support. So Chromebooks are compatible with refreshable Braille displays that you can either connect through USB or through Bluetooth. And there's output available, so reading in Braille based on wherever your focus is on the screen. You can also type in Braille using the Braille keyboard. And we've added a lot of different sorts of Braille keyboard commands for faster navigation around the device. And this can be helpful if you are a Braille user and you prefer to have your hands on the Braille display more frequently than shifting back and forth to the QWERTY keyboard on the Chromebook. That's where we're trying to add more and more navigational commands in. So that was ChromeVox. And we also have another version of text-to-speech or spoken feedback available in accessibility settings on the Chromebook. And this is called Select to Speak. So I happen to be low vision myself, and this is the feature that I use every day to be most efficient on my Chromebook. And this is kind of like on-demand text-to-speech, if you will. So the way that this works is instead of where ChromeVox will just read everything aloud as you navigate, Select to Speak will allow you to choose a certain section of the screen and have only that content spoken aloud. So you can use it a few different ways. Once it's turned on in settings, then either you can press and hold the search key and then click or drag a box around content and just have that wording read aloud. Or there's a little on-screen button that appears in the lower right corner of the screen that looks kind of like sound waves. So you can either click or touch that icon as well and do the same thing at that point, then drag a box around content. And I should mention that you can actually, it doesn't only have to be text. You can drag a box around things like the tabs or icons, and then select to speak will still read whatever those items are for. The third way to use this feature is if you have very specific text that you want read aloud. So for example, if you're drafting an email and you only want to listen to the text that just like a few lines of text that you have highlighted, essentially you can highlight text just the way that you would if you were going to copy and paste, and then press the keyboard command Search +S. So there are a few different ways to use this based on your preferences, but there's also word-by-word highlighting that's available. So you can choose different colors, so green to pink to blue, so that as you're listening to the text being spoken aloud, you also have the option to visually follow along with that word-by-word highlighting. So this feature is definitely beneficial for someone like me with low vision, but also just for anyone with any sort of learning or processing challenges who just benefits from being able to both listen to text while visually reading it on the screen. Great. We also have added more and more voices that are available by default onto the Chromebooks in new languages. And in addition to the default languages that are available, we've also partnered with a company called Acapella, and they create wonderful sets of different text-to-speech voices. And you can purchase and use Acapella voices through the Chrome Web Store. And this opens the doors to over 30 new languages and over 100 new voices. And I really love the Acapella children's voices, actually. They make a number of different children's voices that have kind of been shown to just resonate better with children as they're learning, versus some students just really prefer these younger sounding voices versus some of the older adult sounding or more robotic voices. So I would definitely recommend checking those out. Wonderful. And now I'm going to pass to Roger to talk about G Suite accessibility features.
Thank you, Laura. So I'm going to go through and talk about G Suite. And G Suite is our suite of productivity, collaboration, and organizational tools and applications. These include things like Gmail, Calendar, Drive, Docs, Sheets, Slides, Classroom, Forms, Sites, and there's a whole bunch of other products that it takes too long to go through. These products are designed to work on the assistive technology that the users want to use, which means we support the desktop systems like the Chrome operating system that Laura just went through, also Windows laptops, Mac laptops, Android devices, and also iOS devices. So one of our we consider it an accessibility feature, but it's a feature that's actually useful to a lot of people, is keyboard access. And with the keyboard, you can do everything that you need to within G Suite. And these consist of both navigational type of shortcuts as well as action type of shortcuts. For example, in Gmail, you can press the letter C to start to compose. Same thing in Calendar. Or if you're in, say, Google Docs, you can do Control-Shift-8 to start the bulleted list. You can also do navigation. For example, if you're back in, say, Gmail, you can do G followed by I to always go back to your inbox, or G followed by T to go to your sent folder. Or like if you're in Calendar, a quick tip for everybody, say you've navigated to some other point in time, you can always hit the letter T to return back to today. To find out about these keyboard shortcuts, you can do a couple things. One, you can do a Google search for like Gmail keyboard shortcuts, or also within our applications, you can bring up a list of keyboard shortcuts by pressing Shift / or the question mark. And that works in almost all of our applications. The only exceptions is Docs, Sheets, and Slides, where if you did that, you would actually type a question mark into your content that you're creating. In those applications, you use a Control / to bring up the list of keyboard shortcuts. Another way that's a type of a shortcut is actually application menu. So in Docs, Sheets, and Slides, there's the applications menu. And to access those on Windows, you do a Alt-Shift followed by the letter, like for example, F, or Alt-Shift-E to get to the edit menu, to open up the edit menu. You can also use that same shortcuts on Chromebooks, or you can just go with Alt-F or Alt-E or Alt-T to open up the menu. Also inside the editors, you can do what we call search the menus. So in case you're not sure which menu it's in and you don't want to go through and looking for it, you can do an Alt /. You'll get a little edit text box, and there you can type in the word you're looking for, or part of the menu item you're looking for. For example, I use this all the time when I'm in Docs. If I want to apply a title to a paragraph header, I do Alt /, type in title, hit enter, and then I get a list of choices of the menu items that match that. I arrow down, find the one I want, and then press enter. So again, these are some ways to give you some efficiency that are very useful for a assistive technology user or user who's not able to use a mouse or doesn't want to, but this also are useful for anybody that wants to be a power user, because you can boost your efficiency by using the keyboard shortcuts. Another powerful feature we have is in Google Docs, you can do voice typing, editing, and formatting. Here, you can turn on this mode by using the menu items to get to it, or you can use the shortcut Control-Shift-S. And when you do, as you speak, what you're saying is transcribed into text and inserted into your document. You can also do editing and formatting. For example, you can select a paragraph, delete it, and then even move it to someplace else in the document. You can also do formatting like bolding text or bulleting text, or even perform actions like do commenting. Last we checked, there was over 150 commands available in Docs voice typing, editing, formatting. In Google Slides speaker notes, you can also do voice typing, but you can't do voice editing and formatting. Again, it gives you a quicker, easier way to insert content. And we've heard that this has made a big difference in a lot of people's lives. For example, a student who is now able to do their homework much easier because they're able to do this. So if they are struggling to use a keyboard or a mouse, they can sit down and use a voice and get on with getting their homework done rather than the friction of trying to figure out how to do it. So another aspect we have is magnification. In general, most of our features, you don't have to do anything. We are designing our products to work with the assistive technology you're using. For example, magnification. So to say if you're on a mobile device, all you have to do is enable magnification on your Android or iOS, and our applications will adopt and work with that magnification feature. That's kind of the same thing on the desktop systems. For example, if you're using the magnification feature that Laura just talked about on the Chromebooks, our applications work with it. The only exception is inside Google Docs, Sheets, and Slides. For our product to work with the magnification technology, you do need to go in and enable that capability. It used to be that you had to go in and do a shortcut to turn on screen reader mode, and then go into the accessibility menu and find the setting. It was a little hard to discover. So earlier this year, we moved this to a different area. So now under the Tools menu, we have a menu item called Accessibility Settings. Then you open it up, and it'll give you access to different settings that you can turn on that applies to Docs, Sheets, and Slides. Some other things that users love to do is they often will want increased contrast. And again, like magnification, this basically just works with the technology when you turn it on. But we do have a couple other options that you can use if you don't want full-blown contrast enhancements. You can go into Gmail and choose one of the high contrast themes, or also in Drive, you can go in and change the color of files or folders to give them a different contrast or different color, so it's easier for somebody to hone in on it and to see what they're looking for. We also support many different screen readers, and I myself am visually impaired, and I use a screen reader all the time to do my daily work and to stay in touch with friends and family. So we support the popular screen readers. Say on Windows, that's JAWS and NVDA. And in both cases, we highly recommend that people use the latest versions of those products, because the vendors are always making changes to make the products work better with, in general, but also with our technology. So for example, in JAWS, we recommend you have version 2019 and apply all the latest updates. For NVDA, we recommend you have 2019.1, and when they come out with 2019.2, go ahead and do the update to that. We do also support the Chromebook screen reader that Laura talked about earlier on Chromebooks. We support VoiceOver on Mac. On Android, we support TalkBack, and on iOS, we support VoiceOver. And kind of like the magnification and contrast, when you're in Google Docs, you do need to enable screen reader mode. Again, you go into the Tools, Accessibility Settings menu, and turn on screen reader support. Because if you don't do that, if you go in and try to read the content, you won't be able to hear the content because it's not available to the screen reader until you enable the support. Kind of like the screen reader, you can have spoken output or you can have Braille output where the content is sent to a Braille display and the users can type into it. And again, kind of like the screen reader mode, you do have to enable Braille support inside docs, sheets, and slides. But in our other applications, the Braille support is automatic when you have it supported by your platform and your screen reader. Some technology that we've just been adding here recently is actually real-time captioning. We announced last fall that in slides, when you go into presentation mode, you can turn on auto captioning. And when you do that, when the speaker is talking, then on the screen, we will go through and convert their voice to text and show it on the screen so that anybody in the audience can see what see the text of what the presenter is saying. In April, we just announced and released support in Hangouts Meet. Hangouts Meet is our video conferencing system. So now, if you're using the business accounts, the users who want to have live caption can turn it on, and that means that whatever room they're in, or if they're on a, excuse me, on a mobile device, then they will also see real-time captioning of what the other presenter or the other people in the meeting are saying in the meeting. Excuse me. Another type of closed captioning we support is in Google Drive. If you've got an audio or video file, you can attach a caption transcript file to that. So then when a user is playing back the video or the audio on a mobile device or a desktop, and they've got closed captioning turned on, then they will see captions for the audio of what the user is saying. Another key thing I just talked about was actually our support for users who are using assistive technology. Another critical aspect of accessibility is to create content that is accessible. And here we have many things that can help that process. So in docs, sheets, slides, and sites, we have our templates designed to help you create more accessible content by default. We have set them up to have proper contrast levels, to use proper structure so that, say, headings are actually marked up as a heading type of paragraph, and other things for tables. So again, it makes it easier for you to create accessible content. Another thing you can do for making it easier actually to create content is to create, say, Google Docs, Sheets and Slides easier. You can go to your browser, and in the URL bar, you can type in docs.new, slides.new, or sheets.new, and that will create a document for you. So it's a much faster and easier way to create content and then get on with the process. At this point in time, I'd like to turn this over to Lisa.
Thanks, Roger. So all of these accessibility features are amazing. And what's incredible is that it really allows our students to be able to use these accessibility tools as they need them. And it doesn't really draw any extra attention to them in the classroom. And so just thinking about different ways that our students can use these tools as options. So there are also lots of great apps and extensions that your students can use with their Chrome accounts. I'm going to just discuss a couple of them. So these are 3 extensions that I find really useful for my students. Stay Focused literally will block certain sites that are distracting. So you can set how much time you want to allow yourself for each site, and it will allow that specific amount of time, and then you are blocked from that site. Great for kids who have trouble staying focused in class with attention issues. The next one is called Magic Scroll Web Reader, which turns long articles from the internet into more of an e-reader format. So you can click and scroll, and it's as if you're turning a page. It also removes a lot of clutter that we find on a lot of websites. I will use some news websites with my students, and I find that there's so much clutter on the page. Sometimes it's hard for them to focus on the actual content. So this is a great extension for that. Another one is Ad Blocker Plus, which again will help remove those shiny, flashy ads that sometimes can be so distracting. So these extensions help with visibility and also with reducing eye strain. And Beeline Reader, I showed this to a student a couple months ago, and she turned to me and said, whoever developed this, she wants to give them a great big hug. Beeline Reader is designed with students with dyslexia in mind. And what it does is, you can see from the logo, it just creates a gentle gradient of color to your text. So the end of one sentence might be blue, and then the beginning of the next sentence is also blue. It really does help students with tracking if they're doing a lot of reading online. Their site indicates that it also helps reduce eye strain, and I use this myself all the time, and I really do think that it makes a difference. The next one is the Google Color Enhancer. And it really just helps adjust your screen so that it makes it easier for you to see, and will help improve that color gradient that might be on certain websites. And then the third one on this slide here is called the Claro Mag X, which is really cool. It utilizes the your Chromebook camera. So it turns it into a magnifier. So if you're looking at something that is not digital and you need it magnified, you can actually use your Chromebook as a way of blowing things up to make it bigger or change the contrast. So when we're looking at our students interacting with content, Google ReadWrite, which is a text help product, is a really super powerful, amazing extension that allows students, it has a text-to-speech and a speech-to-text feature, but in addition to that, it allows students to take notes. It will record their voice, so they can take voice notes if you have students who really struggle with typing. It will collect their highlights. So I will have kids in an English class, and their assignment is to follow a certain character throughout a story. They will pick one color for each character, use those colors to highlight, and then Google ReadWrite will actually collect all of their highlights and put them into a brand new Google Doc that can be shared with their teacher. It also has a screen mask feature, which is really helpful for kids, again, who might have trouble tracking or staying focused online. So it will give you a window, and you can customize the size of the window. You can customize the opacity, but it will help just block out the rest of the clutter on the screen so they can just focus on the text. Co-writer. So Google ReadWrite also has word prediction. Co-writer is an excellent word prediction product, and it also provides really great support for grammar and spelling. And then the third one is another, I feel like I say that these are all my favorites, but it's true. So DualLess will turn your Chromebook into a little bit of a dual monitor. So a lot of times we'll have kids with lots of tabs open, and they need to go from an article to a Google Doc to a Google slide deck. And this actually allows students to have multiple screens open at once, and they can decide the ratio of how they want their screen set up. So for students who really get frustrated flipping back and forth between tabs, DualLess is a great option. So videos, we are all using more and more video content in our classrooms. It's really engaging, and this is just how our kids are learning. But there are tools that you can use that can help enhance that video content. So the first one that we have here is called Video Notes, and it's a really, really easy way for students to take notes on videos. and be able to share them with their teacher. And then Edpuzzle is a great tool for taking videos, and what you can do is you can actually embed questions within the video. So when your students go to open the video will play, and then it will pause, and the questions that you insert will pop up. You can put in multiple choice questions, open response questions, and this is a really great tool for flipped classroom models, or I say flipped lesson models. And you can actually see in their dashboard how long a student spent on that video. You can also, there's a setting that you can adjust that will allow your students to move forward through the video or not. So you can require them to let the video play through. And then Laura's going to talk a little bit about the new AAC Clicker Communication app.
Thanks, Lisa. Yeah, so we have recently partnered with Crick Software to launch their Clicker Communicator app on Chromebooks, again, through the Chrome Web Store. And we were really excited about this because the Clicker Communicator app is an augmentative and alternative communication app, which really does enable younger students to be able to communicate. So any students who have different communication challenges or who are nonverbal, this app is really available to help to be able to use the Chromebook as a communication device by stringing together different words, phrases, or sentences through interacting with the screen and then having the device speak aloud for them. So this app, again, is available through the Chrome Web Store, and there's a lot of integration that has gone on with Google Drive. Cricksoft has integrated the a cappella children's voices that I had mentioned earlier, just directly into the app. And they've worked really hard on creating a lot of great core vocabulary sets, and you can really customize those as well, depending on the different courses that the student is taking. So we just wanted to mention that this is now available within the Chrome Web Store. So thanks to Crick Software.
I'm really excited to give that a try. I do work with some students who are nonverbal, and currently they have a separate device that they use, and then they have their school-issued Chromebook. So it's really exciting to see that they will be able to use their Chromebook and not need multiple devices. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about what this looks like in the classroom. We have all of this technology and things that can really, really make a difference for kids. But we know that just throwing the technology in a classroom isn't quite enough. So I typically look through the lens of the Universal Design for Learning framework, which was created by an organization called CAST. And in a nutshell, it looks at these three different networks of the brain. So you'll notice that in each one, it discusses providing multiple means. So it's all about giving options for our students. So think about multiple means of engagement. So how our students are interacting with the text or the information that they're learning. Multiple means of representation. So how they're getting the information that they're learning. Is it just auditory? Is it just reading? Looking at different ways to provide different opportunities for them to choose. And then multiple means of action and expression. So how our students are able to show us what they know. And it's all about providing options. So when we think about all of those tools that we just learned about from Laura and Roger, and what kinds of tools can we make available to our students as options? So different ways for them to take in information, different ways for them to interact with that information, and different ways for them to show us what they know. So looking at some of the G Suite tools that I use in my classroom, thinking about students' Google Drive. So I still do this, but less and less as we are a one-to-one Chromebook school. But it used to be that we would take at least once a week and we would empty out everyone's backpacks and we would have a backpack organization time. And we all know that we have students whose backpacks can be kind of a mess. So that those executive functioning skills, they're really struggling with how to organize their materials. So their Google Drive has really become their digital backpack, and it can also become a mess. So looking at different ways to bring into the classroom those same skills, but in order to maintain organization for their digital world. Thinking about things like naming conventions, creating folders, coloring folders, or to be honest, my Google Drive, it looks kind of a mess too, but I have learned how to search really well. And that's a skill that I really work hard on with my students. So yes, we still do the occasional backpack clean out, but we spend more and more time working on how do you search, how do you find your digital materials in your Google Drive. So Google Docs, I feel like Google Docs, people don't get excited about Google Docs anymore because we're so used to having Google Docs around. But Google Docs really can have a huge impact in the classroom. I had a student with autism who was really very high functioning. She could manage very high level academic material. But she really had great questions to ask, but she really struggled to not ask them in the moment that they came to her brain. So, you know, in the classroom, we looked at different ways to help her because it was becoming a distraction for the other students in the class. And so we worked on these skills with her. We put we put a teacher aide in the class with her. And then it just became this conversation between my student and the teacher aide, and that was distracting. So we tried just having them on a shared Google Doc, and they weren't even sitting next to each other. They were clear across the room. But this way, my student, she could write her questions on the Google Doc as soon as she had them, and the teacher aide would be able to respond and answer her questions. And it really just that simple switch made it so that she really could be super successful in the classroom. And it really became part of the classroom community. It turned out that her questions and her notes were so great that often other students would want to see what her questions were, what the answers were. And it was just a huge success for everyone. So another great tool is Google Slides. And we always think of Google Slides as just for presentations, but actually the linear nature of Google Slides makes it a great natural fit for breaking down long tasks. I'll use Google Slides as a graphic organizer for writing a paper. So sometimes I will create a slide deck for a specific student, and I will give them a sentence starter, one sentence starter for each slide. So the idea is that they're writing a paragraph, and then after they do that, they can put it all together. They can literally copy and paste it and then do some editing, and they have a whole paper. So kids who sometimes struggle with just staring at a blank screen, or I don't know how to get started, or how to use a graphic organizer, Google Slides is a really great tool for that. And often the graphic organizers that we have on paper, it's just hard. They're in a limited amount of space. Sometimes they're bubbles and the kids have to fit their words right in the bubbles. And with slides, they can adjust the size of their font. If they need to, they can use more than one slide. And so Google Slides is a great tool for that. It also just has that natural linear structure. So I will have students that will use Google Slides for note-taking, and it just makes it makes more sense to them because the slides are in that sequential mode. I'll also use the Q&A feature within Google Slides, so students can use their Chromebooks to ask questions without necessarily needing to raise their hand. I will have students sometimes who have great questions, but they're just not comfortable to raise their hand and use their voice in class. So forms, again, I think we all think of forms as surveys or quizzes. I have used forms for documenting data on students' IEP goals. I'll create a form and then I'll share it with all of the teachers and service providers on the IEP team. It's a really great and quick way to gather that data. And then it goes into those nice charts and graphs that we love to share with students and with parents. Google Forms is also a great tool for students to submit their work. So I co-taught in a biology class, and we had students with labs that were grouped together. So maybe 3 or 4 of them had the same shared Google Doc. And this way we had them submit through a Google form. They would submit the link, they would submit their partners' names, some information about how well they worked together, and then we had all of that information combined, in one place. So Google Forms are great, and I would really encourage you to think outside the box in terms of how you use Google Forms. So I'm going to pass it off to Laura, who is going to share with us a little bit about where you can get more information and access more resources.
Great. Actually, I think we're going to pass to Roger quickly. So I will pass off to Roger.
Thank you. Thank you, Laura and Lisa. So we did cover a lot of information here, and if you want to get more details on what we talked about, but also the other information goes with that, we have a lot of great resources for you. 2 of the key ones to start with, and these are kind of the starting point to find the other ones, is you can go to edu.google.com/accessibility, and you'll get the information about how to apply this in the educational environment. Also, our general Google accessibility site has a lot of great information on products and design and technology, and that's available at google.com/accessibility. And then if you help you to get to what you need quicker, we have other specialized pages. For example, we have g.co/help/accessibility. And in case you're wondering, g.co is basically a shorthand for google.com. We also have g.co/G Suite Accessibility. You can go to support.google.com/Chromebook. And you can also do a search for some great videos that Laura put together to goes into more detail on the accessibility features of Chromebooks. In addition, sometimes you may want to just talk to somebody and get some information. Over the last year, we've been gearing up a disability support team, and you can find out information about them at g.co/disability support. And that team can answer questions through email, chat, or you can do a phone call with the chat team, or also for a lot of visually impaired users, Be My Eyes is great because then you get a video and audio connection and somebody can actually look at your screen to see what's going on. So again, go to g.co/disability support and get in touch with our experts who are there to support people with disabilities. We also have a couple of mailing lists for Chromebooks. There's actually, Laura, can you cover these last 2?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Roger. So we have a few different Google groups that are available, and these are really community-based groups. So we've got one for general Chromebook accessibility questions and topics. So if you go to groups.google.com and just do a search for this group of Chromebook-accessibility at googlegroups.com, you'll come to a page which then from there you can request to join this group. Similarly, Chromevox-discuss at googlegroups.com. Again, this one is a little bit more specific about the Chromevox screen reader, but we would definitely encourage you. So whereas what Roger mentioned about the support team of one-on-one support from our agents, available at g.co/disability support, that is a little bit more customized one-on-one. This is more if you've got questions or feedback and you want to pose a question to the broader community as well as people on our team, we would definitely encourage you to join these groups. And just really quickly, I know that we've received a number of questions just about, will these slides be available? So the slides themselves are not going to be made available after this webinar, but this was recorded and it will be posted onto YouTube. It's also going to be posted onto the EDU on Air website, and we're going to be sharing the recording in a follow-up email as well. And I would also just say to definitely check out edu.google.com/accessibility, which is a page that also has a lot of different resources on Chromebook accessibility and G Suite accessibility, and we're just continuing to add more and more there. So again, definitely check out edu.google.com/accessibility. And just in closing, accessibility is such a core part of our mission here at Google, and we are really committed to making learning more accessible and more inclusive for all students. And your feedback is really critical. We really do want to understand, how are these tools and how are these devices working in your classrooms? So we would encourage you to please do continue to be in touch and provide us with feedback on how things are going and, where else we can further improve. So really appreciate you joining today. Thank you. And yeah, we hope you all have a great day.